Hello, friends. This is Molly with Soul School Tarot and Astrology, and I'm so happy to be back with you guys today. If you caught my last message, I did run away into the mountains for a couple of days. I really needed that. It was a very beautiful and spiritual and grounding experience. I got to just kind of take my guides on the road with me and really connect with them and deepen that relationship. So thank you guys so much for your patience in my absence, but I'm definitely back and I am ready to get some readings out to you. My setup is not quite the same, so I'm going to have to improvise a little bit, but I am getting readings out to you guys very soon. First, what I would like to do, if that's all right, thanks for joining me, is to help unpack a message that I've been getting from Spirit this morning. And this is just the way that messages often come through. I am claircognizant and very much an autodidact. What I mean by that is if I'm interested in something, oftentimes if I just feel a nudge from Spirit to dig a little deeper into something, that's what I do. I love studying things and learning about things. And sometimes this is the way Spirit will work. I'm listening to or observing a message coming in from somebody else, or maybe even just reading an article or something like that. And Spirit just drops in and is like, hey, you know that's significant. You know that there's a deeper meaning, and we're going to take you on a journey to find the way in which this story has a deeper meaning for our life right now. So here's the message. And here's how it came in. I was watching Steve Judd Astrology. I linked in the description box below the video that I was watching, just so you guys can reference it and get to know the channel. I highly recommend Steve Judd Astrology for anybody who wants to follow just some of the larger movements in astrology. For instance, he put out a video where he talked about Saturn being in Aquarius, what that energy is like. And then the video that I was watching this morning that brought in the message, that is a video about Jupiter being in Aquarius. So if you guys are interested, definitely follow Steve Judd Astrology. What he said in that video today, and then just kind of moved right past, was he pointed out a lineage in Greek mythology that I think is very important when it comes to the planetary movements that we are experiencing right now. So he pointed out that the planetary rulers of Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Aquarius are Jupiter, aka Zeus, Saturn, originally known as Kronos, and Uranus, aka Uranos, all right? Mention the fact that they are a lineage where Uranus is the grandfather, Saturn is the father, Jupiter is the son. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that story. But what happened with this interjection from Spirit was this message to take that a little bit further. So I got to thinking, and I was like, you know what? Wasn't Kronos that guy that ate his babies? So I looked it up, and of course, that was, it was what I thought it was. So let me go ahead and share with you the story of Kronos eating his babies and what it has to do with the power structures that have been in place on this planet. And I'm going to talk specifically about American society because that is what I live in. All right? But this message is significant, Spirit is saying, because we are experiencing a dramatic energetic shift that is going to make it very difficult and even impossible for the people who have been in power for a significant period of time. It will make it very difficult or impossible for them to maintain that power. So here's the story, you guys. Uranus is known as heaven in Greek mythology. And his wife was Gaia, the planet Earth, all right? And together they made a bunch of babies that were known as the Titans. So just think of Titans as like a giant race of gods. And Uranus and Gaia and all of their children, they're just the Titans and they're ruling over the world. One of the Titans, Kronos, aka Saturn, rebels against his father, Uranus, and takes power, okay? So he executes a coup, takes power away from Uranus, and then maybe imprisons him or something like that, right? But so now Kronos is ruling the world. He is the god of all gods. Kronos is the guy we know as Saturn today, all right? So it's a planet of restrictions, limitations, and challenges. It's about resistance to change, ultimately. And let me tell you the way that plays out in the myth. Once he's in power, Kronos has his own wife, Rhea. And he's like, I'm not going to let that happen to me. The way that I hijacked the throne and took it from my father, I'm not going to let that happen to me. Now that I have stolen power, I'm going to make sure that nobody steals that power from me. And every time my wife has a baby, I'm going to eat it. And that's what he did. He ate all of his babies. He made sure that there was no challenge to the status quo. And Rhea wasn't really cool with that, all right? There's her husband eating all her babies. So one day, she has a baby. This baby is Zeus, who we now know as Jupiter. That's what the Romans called him. And instead of handing over her baby, she gives him a rock. She gives Kronos a rock, and Kronos eats a rock, thinking it's Zeus, and that's how Zeus survives. Well, Zeus grows up, and of course, he overthrows his father. He challenges the status quo. He overthrows it. And if you know much about Zeus from Greek mythology, you probably know about his exploits, so to speak. In other words, let's go ahead and break this down. For the longest time, divinity and power resided only with the Titans. They were only focused on maintaining that power. They didn't want any growth, any innovation, any sort of change. So they held on to their power by making sure that no younger generation could rise up against them. All right? When Zeus came along, that's what became possible. For a younger generation to take the power from the hands of those who have held it for so long. All right. When I talk about Zeus's exploits, he took his divinity and seeded it into every mortal woman he can find. So in other words, he created so many demigods. He took his divinity and spread it out amongst the people. And that is the energy of Jupiter, of expansion, maybe even a little bit of irresponsible expansion, which is something that Steve Judd talks about when he talks about Jupiter moving into Aquarius at this time. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. So imagine in that myth that I just told you, if Zeus and Uranus could have teamed up against Kronos, what that energy would be like. And that's the energy that's going on in the stars right now. It is a big, big energy. But what's been happening energetically, and my guides are coming in right now saying that this has been true for thousands of years, for at least the last, 2,600 years. And that is the length of an astrological age. All right. So we were in the age of Pisces. We're moving into the age of Aquarius. Spirit is showing me that there has been some sort of energetic protection surrounding people in power, so that those who try to challenge the status quo are not likely to succeed. Kronos has been eating his babies. And what's going on now is that there's this shift where it is time for a new age, for a new era, for a new generation to step up. And there's that older generation from before Kronos even existed, Uranus. Okay? Uranus watched this whole thing happen. He was overthrown by his son and then watched his son overthrow him. So now Uranus and the grandson, Jupiter, are united in Aquarius, Jupiter being in Aquarius. And Saturn's there too, right? But it's almost as if it's a bit of a reckoning for Saturn. Saturn is losing a tremendous amount of power that he has to maintain the status quo. All right? So if you're out there and you're feeling defeated because all the work that you've done to create a new world has been met with resistance, I want to let you know that that's ultimately the message that's coming in from Spirit right now. It's like the heavens have shifted. They've switched teams. They're no longer rooting for the status quo. They're rooting for the revolutionaries. And I think that's a very, very positive message. So I hope this message has found you well. Definitely stay tuned. Thank you guys again for spending some time with me. Like this message if you liked it. Leave me a comment. If you feel like it resonates with you, definitely feel free to share it with a friend or subscribe. And I'll see you guys back here again soon. Take care.